Part 43. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gumu Shuang. Chapter 421. The key director is Mao Shifeng. She can't just say she won't act. The female director next to her didn't dare to say a word. Even if they don't record the show, they can't say anything. After all, it's Yingwan who makes the decision now. They had no choice but to listen. Yingwan frowned slightly. You still want to continue working in this state? This is not a trivial matter. You don't have to worry about the crew, just postpone it for a while. Su Xiao coughed. Yingwan, it's not that we can't rest, but we can't help it at work. Lin Mei can only rest for a week at most. The time arranged by people in the world is too important, and it's impossible to waste time just because of us. The sets of the people of the world are all rented in good places, and a delay of 1 day is a loss of millions. In order to make this drama a success, and with the investment of Wan Teng, a wealthy man, all the scene props for this drama were of the best quality. Even the preliminary arrangements for some special effects scenes were made by top domestic and world-class teams. Such a team is expensive, including elaborate props. If it cannot be completed within the specified time, it is no joke that the crew will lose millions a day. I will let Wan Teng make up for the loss, so you don't need to be so anxious. Yingwan was undoubtedly sure at this moment, you should go back to the imperial capital to recuperate. I will tell Bai Ya about other matters. If you have any announcements or endorsements that need to be compensated during this period, I will make up for them as well. It's not like you don't have money, so why are you working so hard? Lin Mei. Su Xiao. She almost cried. If you spoil her like this, something will go wrong. Looking at this tone, the female director thought that Yingwan was trying to take advantage of her identity, but it turned out that was not the case. Yes, she is not short of money. It doesn't matter if she helps her sister to settle some things. It's just a matter of Wan Teng. How deep is the relationship between her and Wan Teng? Si Lu was just listening quietly. Seeing that they were still a little embarrassed, he said, the chief investor has given you a break. What can you say about the crew? These days, the crew forces concussion patients to take care of themselves working while sick. There was a sneer in his tone, and Lin Mei was confused. Chief investor. Yingwan glanced at Si Lu. Is Wan Teng responsible for this drama? She knew that Wan Teng invested the money, but she didn't manage it specifically. Bai Ya was in charge, so she didn't know. Of course, this is invested by your company Wan Teng Pictures. Didn't Bai Ya tell you? Yingwan thought for a moment. I never care about these things. Since it's mine, it's easier to handle. Just rest. As for this show, do you want to continue recording it? Lin Mei suddenly understood what was going on, thought about it silently, then covered her head and said, let's record it. Although she has a legitimate reason to get off now, it is not necessary since there are still a few issues to go. Yingwanchen felt that it was not a safe way to live in the countryside. She thought that it would be over in a few episodes anyway, so she said directly, let's record the next few episodes in the imperial capital. You don't have to come over then. I'll go directly to the imperial capital, or if there's a place you want to go, just pick it and we can change it. After she said this, she and Si Lu went out together. Lin Mei. Su Xiao knew that Lin Mei was injured now, but she still ate the lemon with tears in her eyes. Why did you say that? Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gumu Shuang. Chapter 422. Such a wealthy financier's style was chosen by Yingwan. The female director next to her listened to the whole process and was frightened. That man just said that Wan Teng Pictures is owned by Yingwan. What is the relationship between Yingwan and Wan Teng? You still can't see it? Su Xiao was too lazy to hide it now. Obviously Wan Teng was founded by her. Female director. I feel like the limits of my imagination are not enough. Lin Mei felt dizzy at the moment. Even though she had known the news for a long time, she still found it quite exciting. Didn't she never imagine that a rich and powerful man could pamper her when she was a child? Why can't the eldest lady have these dreams? In the end, the dream did come true, even though it was her sister. The female director deeply felt that after living for more than 30 years, her imagination was still not rich enough. Otherwise, it was completely impossible to imagine how such a god appeared. She could only watch Lin Mei eat all the lemons. Lin Mei, you are really lucky. I just couldn't bear it anymore. I still say it to this day. She is lucky. Su Xiao scolded, her life is not only good, she has smoked all the smoke that her ancestors have smoked for 8 generations. Lin Mei. Female director. When the female director was about to go out, Wangsu appeared outside. Seeing Wensu, the expressions of the 3 people in the room were a little confused for a moment. After all, although everyone is not willing to engage in moral kidnapping, when Lin Mei fell, Wensu did not even say that he jumped immediately and meant to rescue her. Instead, the photographer responded extremely quickly. The female director was also glad that their photographers were really good. If it had been someone like Wensu, the program team would have been disappointed on the spot today. But after all, it was hard to blame Wensu. After all, Lin Mei fell down by herself, and there was nothing wrong in not saving her. It's just that Lin Mei has always disliked Wensu. Now that she sees Wensu coming, it's strange that her expression becomes better. Plus there was no photographer, so she didn't even bother to look good at the moment. Wensu was holding a fruit basket in his hand. There were too many people just now, and he was blocked outside and couldn't get in. Hearing that Lin Mei had completed her inspection and there was nothing serious, he walked in and said gently to Lin Mei, "Lin Mei, it's great that you're okay. In the afternoon, you almost scared me to death. It's all my fault that I didn't react in time. Otherwise, if I had held you, you wouldn't have fallen. This has nothing to do with you." Lin Mei didn't make any ugly gesture, but there was no smile on her face. She said calmly, "I fell down by myself. There is no reason for you to save me. It's normal not to react. Don't blame yourself." This surprised Wensu. He thought that Lin Mei would beat her up because of her temperament. Wensu put down the fruit basket. Lin Mei glanced at him and said with a smile, "I'm sorry. I didn't expect this to happen to me. I won't be able to record the program in the next few days. The program team has also promised me this program. No more recording, it seems your trip was in vain." Wensu's movements were slightly stiff, but his face remained calm. "It's okay, your body is the most important, and the show is second." The female director also had something to say to Wensu, so she winked at Wensu. Wensu said a few more polite words to Lin Mei, and then went out with the female director. Su Xiao raised his eyebrows. "I guess I want to compensate Wensu for one period." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 423. After all, this was an accident, but Wensu also signed a contract. From a moral point of view, Wensu is also a victim. This episode of the show cannot continue to be broadcast live, and he has lost all his popularity. Lin Mei rolled her eyes. "I don't care how they compensate, anyway, I will never take him on another episode. I feel sick when I get along with him." Yang Jiao called me that day and kept crying. Yang Jiao is one of Wensu's victim ex-girlfriends. She didn't know Lin Mei in the circle before. After all, she had already retired when Lin Mei entered the circle. They met during a volunteer activity. The relationship was average, but it was still acceptable. That day, when she knew that Wensu was going to be on the show, She called and cried. She was indeed miserable. After being dumped by Wensu, the people behind Wensu told her to shut up and retired in order to deal with her. As a result, few people knew about her existence. Later, she suffered a lot when Su took 1 million to get rid of her, and said that she was greedy. This made Lin Mei feel disgusted with Wen Su. Yes, I guess the program team thought so, but seeing your attitude, they probably don't dare to do it. Su Xiao took a knife to peel some fruit for Lin Mei, but you don't have to worry too much about this problem. I received a message that someone is integrating information to deal with Wen Su. Lin Mei's eyes lit up. Really? Just heard. Su Xiao smiled. I'm not sure if it's true. He was on this show, so naturally people are jealous. You can't touch him, but can Wen Su not touch him? After she said this, she stopped talking. Hearing this, Lin Mei only showed a gloating smile. As soon as she smiled like this, a tall figure walked in at the door. Lin Mei looked up and saw that it was Su Han. When she woke up, Su Xiao said that it was the photographer who saved her first, and then Su Han came to rescue her. The photographer also conducted a simple check and rested. Su Xiao naturally thanked him a lot. As for Su Han, he had good qualities. He just jumped into the bushes. There was nothing serious. When he came in, he was holding a thermos bucket in his hand. When he doesn't smile, his face looks serious. At this moment, he is also cold. Miss Ying said that you are not feeling well and need to supplement some nutrition. This soup is stewed by someone outside. You drink it for the time being. Miss Ying said that she will stew chicken soup for you in the evening. Lin Mei blinked her eyes and didn't rush to take it. She just said, I was close to coma at that time and my consciousness was not very good. Did you carry me down the mountain? Su Xiao said it was still a princess hug. Hearing this, Su Xiao looked at Lin Mei and Su Han meaningfully and walked out of the ward silently. Su Han felt that something was wrong, and just frowned and said, I will do what Miss Ying ordered. Ying Wan called him at the first time, so he naturally went to check Lin Mei's condition. Oh! Lin Mei curled her lips, took the thermos bucket in his hand, and glanced at him again. Why did Wan Wan ask you to do this? Su Han was stuck. Then he said, maybe Miss Ying usually calls me the most. Subconsciously called skillfully. Oh, thank you anyway. Lin Mei thanked him and saw Su Han nodded with a straight face. Her heartbeat was a little fast, and she asked for some reason, do you have a girlfriend? Who doesn't like good-looking people? She couldn't afford a top-notch guy like Si Lu, but ordinary people might not be able to stand seeing such a handsome Special Forces soldier. Of course, at this time, Lin Mei was still a pure beauty lover. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 424. Su Han looked at Lin Mei in disbelief, as if she had really hit her head. But he still said, our identities are special, and it is not suitable for us to have a girlfriend now. He found this excuse, if there is nothing else, I will go out first. Lin Mei still raised her eyebrows when she heard that he didn't have a girlfriend, but she couldn't find any other reason to say anything to Su Han, so she could only nod. After Su Han went out, she drank soup alone, and didn't know what she was thinking. Yingwan and Si Lu came outside. Si Lu seemed to be in a good mood. Did you just tell her that you are going back to the capital to record the show? Yingwan nodded, yes, I can fly to the capital when I record the show. Although it was only a short week, compared to her not often going to the capital, this was already good. When Si Lu was about to say something, someone in the hospital probably recognized Yingwan and saw Yingwan was very excited. It seemed that she was still a staff member of the hospital. When waving a pen and paper and rushing towards Yingwan, someone immediately appeared and stopped her. The two Special Forces members looked serious. Hello, what can I do for you? The girl who was stopped was frightened by their momentum and stammered, sorry, Can I ask Yingwan for an autograph? I am a fan of Academician Ying, a super fan. The Special Forces member was cold and ruthless. Academician Ying is not a public figure, he just participated in the program and will not take any autographs or group photos. Academician Ying has a special status, and I hope you understand. The girl was a little disappointed, and she could only say regretfully, is that so? But she was a little unwilling to accept it, and Yingwan was not far away from her, so she shouted to Yingwan, Academician Ying. The hospital was so small, and her shouting was so loud that Yingwan looked over. She looked so happy that she was about to faint. She waved excitedly in the cold face of the Special Forces member, Academician Ying, can I ask you for an autograph? Just an autograph. Yingwan shook her head, and Si Lu also lifted his eyelids to look at the woman, with a slight coldness in his eyes. The girl saw that it still didn't work, so she could only lower her eyes in disappointment. I'll go see the photographer who saved Lin Mei. Although she didn't need to go, he still saved her without hesitation, so she should go to visit her on behalf of Lin Mei. Go. Just as Si Lu was about to speak, he received a call, you go first, I'll be there soon. He answered the call, Yingwan nodded and went there alone. Si Lu was standing outside a ward answering a work call. When he was almost done talking, he was about to walk towards Yingwan. At this moment, a girl walked out of the ward. She looked a little absent-minded and had a very pale face. When she came out, she didn't pay attention and bumped into Si Lu who was walking by. Si Lu turned his eyes, glanced at the person, and said lightly, sorry. After that, he walked away carelessly and went to Yingwan. When the girl raised her head and saw Si Lu, just one glance seemed to reflect in her heart. In her originally dim eyes, there was an exceptionally strong color, like a beam of light, shining into her originally dark world. Unable to restrain herself, she chased after Si Lu and called out, Ian. Since it wasn't Si Lu's name, he didn't respond at all and walked very fast, so the girl had to speed up to catch up. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 425. Si Lu had already walked to the front of the ward, and the girl behind him also caught up. Ian. Perhaps because of the strange movement and the fact that she was already close to Yingwan's range of activities, the special operations team came to stop her. Si Lu then turned around and realized it was the girl he bumped into accidentally. He frowned slightly. When the girl saw him turning back, her expression was very happy, and a joyful smile appeared on her pale face, Ian. What she shouted to Si Lu made people understand immediately. She was wearing a hospital gown and was obviously a patient. Si Lu just glanced at her and said calmly, you have the wrong person. Then he ignored her and went straight into the ward. At this moment, Yingwan had met the photographer. The other person was flattered and repeatedly said that this was as it should be. It would be fine if nothing happened to Lin Mei. Besides, there was nothing dangerous there. He was just scratched by a branch of the bush and was injured. Some don't count. Yingwan turned around and was about to come out, but Si Lu paused and curled up the corner of his mouth, are you done? Yingwan looked at him a little strangely, Just as she answered, a particularly excited voice came from outside the ward, Ian, Ian. No, miss, I'm sorry, you can't come close to this place. Are you a relative of the patient inside? Miss, please don't go there. The sound surprised Yingwan. When she walked out of the ward, she saw a girl in a hospital gown trying to break in. The Special Forces team members didn't know who she was, so of course they stopped her. The girl's eyes looked behind Yingwan, where Si Lu was standing. Yingwan turned around and said, he's here to find you. I don't know her. Si Lu looked at the girl now, his eyes darkening a little. She recognized the wrong person and kept calling her Ian. You are Ian. The girl shouted to Sci-Lu very excitedly and wanted to come over. But the Special Forces member stopped her, and she reached out to grab the Special Forces member in a hurry. How could she be polite to her? Anyone around Yingwan who said something rude was considered an attack. Regardless of whether the other person was a patient or not, he immediately restrained her with a backhand, and his expression was not very good looking. "Miss, you are like this, the behavior has crossed the line. Some things are not suitable to be said publicly, but it is okay to understand them." When they restrained the girl, they had already attracted the attention of other people in the hospital. A well-dressed couple hurried over. When they saw the restrained girl, their expressions changed immediately. "Xiaoxian. Who are you? Let go of my Xiaoxian. What are you doing?" The two men rushed over and pulled her away. The special operations team member let go of the girl and said with a serious expression, "She is going to rush over. We will not allow any strangers to approach Academician Ying." There were people watching from the side, some of whom didn't know Yingwan yet, but some of them knew him. When he saw Yingwan, he suddenly realized that it was indeed normal for him to be inaccessible to someone with that identity. "Academician Ying, what are you trying to show here?" The woman in the couple said something, and when she turned to Yingwan and Sci-Lu, she paused again. "Ian." The girl who was let go still wanted to rush over, but Sci-Lu was completely impatient now. He glanced at her with disgust, lowered his body and said to Wan, "Let's go. It's easy to cause misunderstandings here." Yingwan nodded, signaled the Special Forces team members to handle it themselves, and followed Sci-Lu. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 426. The Special Forces team members paid attention to the girl, and when they saw that she was held back by her parents, they stood up and left. If it wasn't a public place, they would have used extraordinary means. Ian. Seeing Sci-Lu leave, the girl wanted to rush up, but was held back by her parents this time. That is. The woman trembled her lips, as if she had just remembered, and said to her husband, "I don't know if I was dazzled and recognized it wrong just now. That man looks like the young master of the Si family." "Are you sure?" Her husband was holding his daughter at this time, and he looked over with wide eyes when he heard the words. The woman nodded, "No doubt, I have never seen another person like that in the world, but how could he appear in this place?" "Mom, that's Ian, that's Ian." The girl hugged her and burst into tears. "Don't stop me, I want to find Ian." The woman's face suddenly became stern. "What nonsense are you talking about? Ian has been dead for a long time. That's not Ian, you can't be so blind. Ian is not comparable to the one just now." She paused, and winked at her husband. "Let's go in first." The husband nodded and took their daughter in first. They treated this as a small episode. After all, they really didn't know the girl. Sci-Lu didn't know her even more. It was inexplicable. To put it bluntly, he looked like this and the girl rushed up. He suspected that the other party was deliberately trying to hit him. Could someone she knew look like him? And this is really not the first time. There are indeed women who want to get close to him under the pretext that others look like him, but I have never seen such a rough one, rushing up in the hospital. Sci-Lu didn't care about that person at all, and only said to Yingwan, "This program is suspended. When will you return to the capital?" "Next month." She looked at Sci-Lu and guessed, "Do you have something to do?" "This is not my business." Sci-Lu curled his lips. "My father's birthday is coming soon, he specially invited you and wanted you to go once." Yingwan had never been there before, but now Wan Teng and the Si family have a cooperation. As a partner, she still has to go. Yingwan pondered for a moment. "Okay, I will go. When?" Just 2 weeks later, but he will call you personally to invite you, I just told you in advance. With Yingwan's identity, Si Guanyi would of course call Yingwan in person to invite her. I know. There is enough time now, she can prepare a gift for Si Guanyi. Ian. The two of them walked into Lin Mei's ward while talking, but suddenly a scream came from behind. The two turned around, and I don't know if the girl just now got rid of her parents, but she actually rushed straight over. Unfortunately, before they could make contact with the person, Suhan appeared from nowhere. He was not so polite and pushed the person directly against the wall. Ah! From their point of view, suddenly rushing towards Si Lu was rushing towards Yingwan. God knows what the other party wants to do. Of course, he would not be polite. Although Suhan deliberately lowered the force, it was not something she could bear. The girl cried out in pain, and her parents rushed over again, screaming, "Xiaoxian, what's wrong with you?" Suhan saw the parents, and a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes, and then his face became stern again. "She is your daughter." He was not as polite as the two team members just now, which stunned the couple. There will be a lottery event and a small explosion tomorrow. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 427. You, let her go. The couple didn't know who Suhan was, but they knew he was not easy to mess with from his aura. Now that he pressed their daughter against the wall, their attitude was not as natural as before. Suhan's eyes had always been vigilant and stern at them, and he slowly put his hand down this time. The girl burst into tears when she was treated like this. The key is that when she cried, she still looked at Si Lu. Si Lu got goosebumps from looking at him. He was just annoyed. He would never pay attention to this kind of lunatic, so he just looked at Yingwan now. Si Lu was too lazy to say anything, and just said to Yingwan, "Let's go." Yingwan frowned slightly when she saw the girl, but didn't say anything. She nodded to Suhan and went into Lin Mei's ward first. The two closed the door and didn't say much about what happened outside. Instead, Yingwan asked Lin Mei to return to the imperial capital as soon as possible and do a series of more detailed examinations. Lin Mei naturally agreed. When Yingwan and Si Lu came out again, the corridor outside had returned to calm. It seemed that the girl had been taken away by her parents. Yingwan came over and asked simply, "What's the situation?" Although it was a strange girl, the other party behaved very strangely, so Yingwan still asked. "It's a woman with mental problems," Suhan said without emotion. "Her boyfriend died in a car accident." She was shocked and her mental state was not good, but the overall condition was not bad. It was only when she saw Si Lu today that she became excited. She said that Si Lu looked very much like her ex-boyfriend, that boyfriend. "We checked the information dash." Suhan glanced at Si Lu, whose expression gradually became stiff. "Actually, they don't look alike, just their eyes are slightly similar." He was telling the truth. It would be too difficult to look like Si Lu. The other party's eyes did look a bit similar, but it was far from the standard of resemblance. It was just that the girl had mental problems. She was probably dazzled for a while and then identified the person. Si Lu laughed coldly. Yingwan didn't take it seriously after understanding what happened. Besides, it was not something she should worry about. "I'm going back first." This episode of the show will not be recorded. Now that Lin Mei's test results are out, she is going to go back and clean up the house. Si Lu nodded, and then followed her back to the countryside. But the internet is not calm at all now. Because millions of viewers saw Lin Mei's accident with their own eyes, the whole thing was a big deal at the time, and the program team couldn't suppress it even if they wanted to. Weibo's hot search directly exploded to the first place, and the official new Weibo of the program team was slaughtered to 1 million, all asking about Lin Mei's current situation and condition. Because there was no accurate information, the program team did not dare to send random messages. Some radical fans called in to complain and insult, questioning how they could make such a low-level mistake. If something happens to the artist, what price will they have to pay? It was not until 2 hours later that Lin Mei's results came out that the program team was relieved and quickly posted Lin Mei's latest results online. Seeing that it was a mild concussion that was only affected for a period of time, this episode had to be forced to stop. The fans first breathed a sigh of relief, and then began to deal with other problems. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 428. To be honest, the one who lost the most this time is undoubtedly Wensu. He was on the show, but it was Lin Mei who was on the hot search. Now everyone is concerned about Lin Mei's health, not him, who was on the show but still alive. Originally, there were fans who hyped up the CP of him and Lin Mei, but this incident directly extinguished it. When Lin Mei got into trouble, Wensu's reaction was not as fast as a photographer. Of course, it was not his fault and it was understandable, but the matter still got out of hand. I guess no one expected that Lin Mei's accident would make Wensu pay the price. The problem is not Wensu, but Wensu's fans. Originally, in order to compensate Wensu, the program team planned to give him an extra promotional position and resources to compensate for the forced interruption of this live broadcast. The other two are still live streaming as usual, but he is gone, so he must have lost. There is nothing wrong with compensation. Since it is not realistic for Lin Mei to agree to live broadcast, this compensation can only be made in other ways. But unexpectedly, on the afternoon of the day when the official blog of Lin Mei's accident issued a clarification, a big fan of Wensu sent a message. I only love Sugzu in this life, /grinning teeth, you deserve it, bitch, you tortured our family from the beginning, if you don't want to live broadcast, just push it, who are you pretending for, God can't stand it anymore, let you hit your head, how come you didn't die, bitch. This has not been publicly released, but she used her small account to insult. She is a big fan of Wensu. Such big fans also have fans. They have various channels to contact celebrities and even contact the celebrities themselves, which brings countless news. Other fans get the latest news of celebrities from here, resulting in the fact that the Weibo of big fans now is a bit like a marketing account. The only difference is that this Weibo only serves one celebrity. This time she insulted Lin Mei, of course she knew that she couldn't use the big account. Few people knew about this small account, but it was not that no one knew about it. To be honest, it is normal for celebrities to insult each other. Even more excessive is that they directly photoshopped your posthumous photo, and greeted you with all kinds of reproductive organs and family trees. It is hard to imagine that there is such a great hatred between the fans of two celebrities. This fan of Wensu is the same. It's not the first or second time that he's foul-mouthed. He's not afraid of a car accident, because this is a small account. But someone still took a screenshot and posted it directly. Someone was looking for an opportunity to mess with Wensu, and now his fans came to him, so he would be sorry if he didn't mess with him. Immediately, an account sorted out the evidence that this small account and Wensu's big fan were the same account, and threw the screenshot into Lin Mei's fan super chat. This is simply poking a hornet's nest at the level of the universe. You should know that Lin Mei is not only supported by fans now, but also by a group of super fans who can't see Yingwan and can only settle for the second best and pay attention to her sister. Lin Mei's accident is not something everyone wants to see, but a big fan who has no grudges against her actually openly insults her like this, which is simply too vicious. Lin Mei's fans are of course not bad, and they were so angry that their hair was about to explode, and they directly began to besiege Wensu's super chat. The fans of Wensu and Lin Mei officially started to quarrel with each other, and some of Wensu's fans were afraid to show up in public because of Lin Mei's identity. There was no suspense about this battle. But the matter still got out of hand. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 429. There are quite a few stars in the circle who hate Wensu's fans. Most of them are female stars. Female stars are generally in an awkward position. If they are not strong enough, if they are associated with Wensu, if they want to hype up the CP, sorry, it depends on whether his fans agree. They don't hype, but if they work together and there are any photos of them in the same frame or any interactions, and they are brought up by people with ulterior motives, Wensu's fans will come up and scold you and your whole family. Wensu is the light in their hearts, Wensu is the idol of the universe, who is worthy of dating their brother. It is an insult to be associated with them. Those who don't have much hype in the circle will be scolded just because of cooperation, so Wensu's fans were retaliated this time, and they were completely defeated by Lin Mei, who was more powerful, which made people gloat. Some people thought that the fans didn't make a big enough fuss, and directly exposed the information that Wensu cheated on his girlfriend and dumped her, and even used his girlfriend to get promoted several times. Even after so many years, there are still people who remember those people back then. Whether the news is true or not is another matter, but it is definitely enough to muddy the waters. Lin Mei received the news online the next day when she was transferred to the capital. Wensu had just negotiated compensation with the program team. She didn't expect such a big thing to happen now. Now she is in a mess. It is estimated that it will be difficult to deal with this matter even if the entire public relations team is mobilized. Especially now that Yingwan is behind Lin Mei, let alone Yingwan doesn't know, even if Bai Ya sees it, he can easily deal with it. Yingwan didn't pay much attention to the things on the internet after returning home yesterday, and others would not bother her with things on the internet. After knowing that Lin Mei returned to the capital, she continued to study her own things in the countryside. After replacing Dehei's chip, it has become much more flexible now. It can search for various words in Wanteng's intelligent library to answer questions raised by Yingwan. Sometimes it can make simple questions and answers with Yingwan. In addition, it is a mechanical robot itself, and sometimes it looks no different from ordinary people. The reaction ability is probably the basic of a child, but some answers are still very dull. Despite this, Yingwan still looks good. As long as she is willing to spend time, she will definitely make a breakthrough in AI. Si Lu rarely showed up today. When Yingwan did not ask, Suhan came up and told her that Si Lu was called away in the middle of the night yesterday. It seemed that something happened in the imperial capital, and his father asked him to rush back. Yingwan did not care. Seeing that she did not respond, Suhan said, "It seems to be related to the girl you met in the hospital yesterday. Her name is Malikchuan." Yingwan looked at Suhan with some surprise. "Related to that girl? Is she from the imperial capital?" Suhan nodded. "I just got the news this morning. You may not know Malikchuan, but you should know Mr. Ma Jun." Ma Jun is a very common name, but the Ma Jun that Suhan mentioned specifically is really not simple. His brother was a soldier who had made great contributions to the country. Mr. Ma Jun was a businessman when he was young. At the beginning, he also gave some help to some dignitaries in the imperial capital, so his status was not ordinary. The reason why Yingwan recognized him was because Xianlan took her to Mr. Ma Jun's birthday party. Thinking of this, she showed a rare look of surprise. Could she be Mr. Ma Jun's granddaughter? Becoming the Richest by Farming. Author, Gu Mushuang. Chapter 430. If she was really her granddaughter, she clearly remembered that there was no trace of her at that birthday party. Instead, she only remembered that Mr. Ma Jun had a son, and his grandson was only a teenager now. However, he had a daughter in his early years who died very early. Just say that Mr. Ma Jun is very sad. Could it be that he is staying somewhere else? There are some twists and turns in this. Suhan thought for a moment and said, you know that Mr. Ma Jun once had a daughter. Unfortunately, his daughter died when she was a few years old. For this reason, Mr. Ma Jun was in very bad condition for a while. At least he has a daughter. With his son by his side, he met this Malikshuan by chance when he traveled south. That is, more than 10 years ago. You have never seen her, so you don't know that it is normal. Malikshuan looks very similar to Mr. Ma's deceased daughter, so Mr. Ma moved. After thinking about it, he adopted Malikshuan as his granddaughter. She is said to be her goddaughter and treats her very well. Although she lives with her parents on weekdays, the food and accommodation expenses are all arranged by Mr. Ma Jun. Some people in the imperial city know that he has a granddaughter. But they did not expect that this time something would happen. I heard that Malikshuan's parents went to the imperial capital to find Mr. Ma because Malikshuan was planning to commit suicide in the middle of the night after not seeing Si Lu. Yingwan. She paused, so this is why Si Lu was brought back. That's not entirely true. I guess the Si family didn't tell him the real reason. If they knew it was because the woman asked him to go back, I don't think he would go back. Speaking of this, Suhan glanced at Yingwan tentatively, and then said, we just received the news this morning. Si Lu should not know it yet, but he should know it now that he has returned to the imperial capital. But what's the use of going back to Si Lu? Yingwan just felt a little baffled and weird. After all, it was the first time she had encountered such a thing, but there was nothing else that felt wrong. Because Malikshuan was just a stranger, it was really unbelievable to Yingwan that a stranger was making a fuss about life and death and calling back Silv who had nothing to do with him. Yingwan was a little curious, but he wasn't a gossip. After hearing this, he didn't ask any more questions and continued busy with his own affairs. Si Lu was indeed deceived back for an inexplicable reason. When he saw Malikshuan at Imperial Hospital in the morning, he realized something was wrong. He almost wanted to call his father and scold him. Is an elder in the family seriously ill? Grass. However, there was no one else here at the moment, only Malikshuan and him. Si Lu turned around and was about to walk out of the ward when he saw her for the first time. Malikshuan hurriedly called out to him, Ayan. He didn't bother to talk to her. He walked out of the ward and saw Si Guanyi standing with an old man outside. He also recognized the old man next to him. He was a well-known horse soldier in the imperial capital. But I don't have much contact with them. So at this moment, it was a little difficult for him to understand that his father was getting together with these people. Seeing Si Lu's eyes as if they were tempered with ice arrows, Si Guanyi avoided his son's gaze without any trace, and said to Mr. Ma, Uncle Ma, I also called my son back. He did see him. Other things, please don't embarrass me. Of course not. Ma Jun knew that his old face was almost gone.